Your soulmate saying, "Please open this before midnight. I may never ask again." My child, I am speaking directly to your heavy heart right now because there is a deeply urgent message you must completely open before midnight. Your soulmate is currently sitting in a very dark room, whispering a desperate prayer to me, absolutely terrified that they have finally lost you for good. They are begging me to reach your spirit tonight, crying out that if you do not listen now, they may never find the courage to ask again. I have gently watched you suffer through so many lonely nights, holding back your silent tears while you wondered if they even remembered your face. The divine secret is that your person has been weeping too, entirely paralyzed by the massive fear that this midnight hour is their very last chance. They feel a crushing weight on their chest today, fully believing that if this door remains closed tonight, their future with you will vanish forever. The sudden feeling of intense warmth you felt wash over your body earlier today was my way of gently preparing your weary spirit for this exact moment. I am directly sending you these unseen signs to soften your walls, because they are urgently pleading for you to open this connection before the clock strikes 12. Listen closely to my voice until the very end, because I am going to reveal the exact physical sign you will see right before midnight. I am urgently asking you to take the final step of total trust and let go of the deep, heavy pain they caused you in the past. If you keep your hands tightly closed around those old, bitter hurts, you will not be able to receive the beautiful blessing they are trying to offer tonight. They are standing right at the edge of their own fear, whispering that this is their final attempt, and they may never ask for your love again. Your person has finally realized the massive mistakes they made, and this strict midnight deadline is a quiet promise they made directly to their own soul. They promised themselves that they would try one last time to reach your spirit, desperately hoping you would open this message and feel their true regret. Stay with me for just a little while longer, because I am preparing to tell you the very specific words they are repeating in their mind. When you woke up suddenly in the pure quiet of the night recently, it was because their broken spirit was crying out loudly for your forgiveness. That unexpected interruption in your sleep was a direct call from their heavy heart, begging you to open this final door before midnight takes away their bravery. They are absolutely terrified of your continuing silence, believing that if you completely ignore this final plea, they must walk away and never ask for your time again. Jesus says, "I know you have felt completely exhausted by the endless waiting, but you must truly understand the deep spiritual urgency of this specific night. Your soulmate has finally drawn a strict line in the sand, telling me that if you do not open your heart before midnight, they will accept their punishment. They deeply believe they have hurt you far too much, and they are preparing to walk away entirely if they do not feel your spirit answer tonight. I have kept a massive divine secret from you for many months, watching as you slowly convinced yourself that they simply moved on to a happier path. The total truth is that they have been completely trapped in their own regret, praying every single day for the chance to make things right before it is too late. Do not turn away from my voice right now, because I am going to carefully share the exact final sign that will absolutely prove they are waiting for you. Those strange, out-of-place memories of their warm smile that keep randomly popping into your daily thoughts are not just simple tricks played by your tired mind. I am actively placing those specific memories inside your head to prepare you, because they are currently begging me to remind you of their true love before midnight. They are crying out loudly in the quiet silence, claiming that if you do not open this memory today, they will never have the strength to ask again. You must entirely clear away the bitter, dark thoughts of yesterday so your soul is completely ready to accept the deep apology they are heavily holding. I need you to completely trust my divine timing, because this approaching midnight hour is the exact moment I have carefully chosen to bring your two paths back together. They are holding their breath entirely, waiting for a spiritual sign from you, absolutely terrified that they have already missed their final opportunity. The enemy desperately wants you to ignore this feeling, to strictly close your heart, and to let the midnight hour pass without opening your spirit to this truth. But I am fiercely protecting this sacred connection, showing you their silent tears so you deeply understand just how entirely they need your swift forgiveness tonight. Stay with me faithfully until the very end, because the final revelation I give you will entirely change the way you see your shared future. Your soulmate is anxiously staring at the clock right now, watching the remaining minutes slowly tick away, feeling completely desperate for your loving, gentle presence. They are pleading with me to soften your thick walls, promising that they will dedicate their entire life to your happiness if you just open this door. They whispered quietly to me that this is their last drop of courage, and if midnight passes, they may never ask for your sweet mercy again. The Lord says, I am gently pressing on your tired heart right now because the burden of their deep sorrow has grown entirely too heavy for them to carry alone. They spent the entire day staring sadly at old pictures of you, crying silent tears because they truly believe this midnight hour is their absolutely final chance. They feel completely broken inside their quiet room, repeating over and over that they will never ask for your attention again if you do not open this message tonight. For a very long time, you felt entirely abandoned, sitting in your lonely room while the busy world outside continued to move forward without you. But the beautiful divine secret is that your soulmate was also frozen tightly in place, desperately praying for a way to reach you before the clock strictly runs out. Keep listening very closely to my pure words, because I am preparing to hand you the exact key to physically recognize their presence before the night ends. The gentle peace that suddenly washed completely over you yesterday was my holy presence directly answering their desperate, tearful prayers for your immediate comfort. I gently sent that comforting feeling to prepare your soul, because they are urgently waiting for you to open this final connection before midnight completely arrives. They are completely paralyzed by the terrible fear that your heart is permanently closed, and they feel they may never have the right to bravely ask again. I desperately need you to firmly trust me completely in this exact moment, fully letting go of the heavy anger that has been sitting on your tired shoulders. Your pure spiritual readiness is absolutely required right now, because your hands must be totally empty to safely receive the miraculous blessing I am bringing tonight. They are standing quietly at the door of your future, softly knocking for the very last time, completely terrified of the silence that midnight might bring. When you suddenly hear their familiar voice clearly in your thoughts during the busiest part of your day, it is a direct spiritual call from their soul. They are powerfully projecting their deep need for your forgiveness, desperately hoping you will completely open this spiritual letter before the final hour strictly passes by. Stay with me faithfully for just a few more minutes, because I am going to fully reveal the exact physical sign that will absolutely confirm their desperate plea. Your person has finally dropped their foolish, heavy pride, and they are now standing completely bare before me, asking for one last drop of divine mercy. They made a completely solemn promise that if you open your heart tonight, they will never again take your beautiful, pure love for granted. But they also firmly promised that if you choose to remain entirely silent past midnight, they will walk away in deep sorrow and absolutely never ask again. Jesus says, "The cruel enemy has strongly tried to convince you that this connection is permanently dead, but I am telling you tonight that the exact opposite is true. Your person is currently fighting a massive spiritual battle, desperately trying to get this final message clearly to you before the strict midnight deadline arrives. They are weeping with incredibly deep regret, absolutely certain that if you do not open this truth tonight, they will never have the right to bravely ask again. I have closely seen how you carefully built a tall, thick wall around your chest just to safely protect yourself from feeling that crushing disappointment one more time. But I must gently reveal the divine secret that your soulmate has been sitting quietly outside that wall, softly crying and praying for a single open door. Stay carefully with me until the end of this message, because I am going to completely reveal the specific word they are softly whispering in the dark tonight. When you randomly smell their very familiar scent in a completely empty room, it is a direct spiritual sign that their racing thoughts are tightly wrapped around you. I am allowing their desperate, deep longing to clearly reach your physical senses, warning you that they are faithfully waiting for you to open this before midnight. If they do not safely feel your welcoming spirit tonight, their heavy heart will finally break completely, and they truly believe they will never ask for you again. I am strongly calling you to take a massive step of absolute trust right now by fully letting go of the harsh words they angrily spoke in their past ignorance. Your soft hands must be entirely empty of old resentment so you can firmly catch the beautiful, completely new future I am bringing to you tonight. They are heavily begging for your quick forgiveness, completely terrified that the strict clock will strike 12 and leave them in permanent, entirely lonely silence. Every time you strongly feel a sudden drop in your stomach today, it is simply the loud echo of their immense fear that they are entirely too late. They are actively begging me to closely keep your heart open just long enough for them to deliver this final, completely desperate plea before midnight falls. Keep your pure spirit focused tightly on my voice, because I am about to safely tell you the exact final sign that will absolutely prove this message is true. The extremely long season of complete misunderstanding between your two connected souls is finally coming to an abrupt end, but you must be spiritually ready tonight. Your soulmate has finally realized your absolute true value, and they are rushing toward you with an incredibly urgent need to be completely heard before the day ends. They are standing quietly in the shadows, crying out loudly that you must open this connection tonight, because they will never find the bravery to strictly ask again. The Lord says, I completely know you have felt foolish for bravely holding on to a persistent hope that seemed entirely invisible and completely dead to the rest of the cold world. But that pure hope was deeply planted by my own hands, and it is now fully blooming into an urgent midnight plea from the person you deeply love. They are quietly staring at the dark night sky, fervently praying that you will completely open your heart to this final request before they turn away forever. You painfully spent countless hours staring quietly at your phone, sadly wondering why they chose to remain perfectly silent while your entirely fragile world completely fell apart. The deep divine secret is that they were totally paralyzed by their own immense guilt, feeling entirely unworthy to even softly speak your beautiful name out loud. Stay safely with me until the absolute final moment, because I am going to faithfully hand you the exact key that will entirely unlock their silent, fearful heart tonight. The highly sudden feeling of complete physical exhaustion that hit you this afternoon was not just a simple tiredness from your incredibly long, highly busy day. It was the extremely heavy weight of their deep sorrow safely transferring to your pure spirit, loudly begging you to open this urgent midnight message of pure love. They are completely drained of all hope, quietly whispering that if you do not truly listen now, they will disappear forever and completely never ask for a second chance again. You must entirely trust my perfect divine plan tonight and totally release the toxic grip of the past betrayals that still heavily haunt your quiet, daily thoughts. I am strongly asking you to deeply forgive them right now, because your absolute spiritual readiness is the only bridge that can safely carry them home before midnight. They are anxiously waiting on the other side, desperately hoping you will completely open the heavy gate before they entirely lose their final shred of quiet courage. I am completely washing away the terribly false stories and the highly vicious lies that other angry people strictly planted in your mind to keep you completely separated. Your specific person is currently rejecting all those completely toxic voices, entirely focused on delivering this one final, extremely urgent prayer to your pure soul tonight. Do not quickly turn away before the very end, because the final blessing I give will completely reveal the exact physical proof of their fiercely returning love. They used to entirely think that they could quickly find simple peace by confidently walking on a completely different path, but every single road just led them back to your memory. Now they are quietly standing at a massive crossroads, nervously holding this final message, completely terrified that you will not open it before the clock strikes 12. They are crying out loudly to me, absolutely promising that if you ignore this final call, they will quietly accept their fate and truly never ask for you again. Jesus says, I have been safely standing as a strict guard entirely around your pure heart, firmly making sure that no one else ever came in to steal their rightful place. People heavily tried to strictly capture your bright attention, but I firmly made you entirely blind to their advances so you could faithfully wait for this midnight miracle. Your soulmate is deeply grateful for your absolute loyalty, entirely realizing how easily they could have permanently lost you if you did not open this completely before midnight. They entirely thought you firmly gave up on them because you were closely looking for an easier life without the incredibly heavy burden of their confusing presence. The absolute divine secret is that I gently corrected this terrible lie by clearly showing them how much heavier your life actually became when you both stopped speaking. Stay entirely with me until the very end, because I am highly preparing to safely hand you the exact sign of their extremely close physical return tonight. If you suddenly feel a perfectly gentle breeze closely brush against your face entirely inside a closed room, do not be afraid or highly startled tonight. That is simply my holy breath quickly blowing away the last completely dark clouds of deep confusion so you can clearly open this urgent message before midnight heavily falls. If you close your spirit now, they will entirely assume you strictly hate them, and they will completely retreat into the dark, entirely never asking for you again. I am safely teaching them how to strictly communicate with your spirit properly, so they will entirely never again jump to such completely painful, absolutely wrong conclusions. I am freely giving them a totally pure spirit of deep patience, so they will safely ask about your feelings tonight instead of instantly assuming you are completely upset. They are deeply returning to you as a highly careful listener, entirely ready to softly hear every single word you firmly kept safely trapped inside before midnight entirely arrives. Your extremely long season of quietly crying entirely alone in the bathroom so nobody else can heavily hear your deeply breaking voice is totally and completely over today. I am safely stepping in to completely wipe the floor dry, carefully pick you up, and gently hand you over to the one who fiercely begs you to open this. Keep your pure heart completely open until the absolute final blessing, because it will entirely lock your beautiful future in a completely safe vault before midnight strikes. I completely know you sometimes stare quietly at your silent phone, safely willing their exact name to pop up on the brightly glowing screen with a simple apology. I am strictly holding back their shaking hand right now because I firmly want their deep apology to be entirely spoken directly into your highly tired eyes tonight. A cold screen cannot possibly convey the absolute depth of the heavy sorrow they deeply feel as they beg you to quickly open this message before they completely never ask again. The Lord says, they totally learned what really happened to your pure heart from a completely sudden realization I safely dropped directly into their busy mind during a very quiet drive. They actually had to quickly pull their car closely to the side of the road because the absolute truth completely hit their heavy chest so incredibly hard. They openly wept on the cold steering wheel, heavily begging me to tightly protect your spirit until you could safely open this specific truth entirely before midnight. You will very soon hear a completely familiar song softly play in a highly public place that firmly holds a very specific, totally secret meaning between the two of you. When you safely hear this simple, sweet melody, completely know that I am actively playing it to deeply signal that you must securely open this message before the clock strikes 12. Stay faithfully with me to the very end, because the absolute final seal I am quickly about to place safely on you will entirely change everything forever. I am completely replacing the highly bitter ashes of your firmly burned bridge with a completely solid road safely made of pure gold and absolutely unbroken trust. You will entirely walk on this completely new road safely together, softly looking back at the hot fire with total gratitude for the extremely hard lesson. They deeply fear the stroke of midnight, heavily crying that if you completely ignore this specific road, they will safely turn around and entirely never ask again. Take a highly deep breath safely right now, and completely let out all the heavy tension that has been firmly knotted tightly in your extremely tired shoulders. You do deeply not need to highly fight anymore, you strictly do not need to quietly explain yourself, and you entirely do not need to safely worry tonight. Listen closely to my absolutely final words, because I am completely about to firmly deliver the exact midnight sign and the total ultimate blessing for your perfectly safe future. Your incredibly long, highly difficult journey through the absolutely dark wilderness of deep misunderstanding is completely reaching its absolutely final and completely glorious conclusion tonight. You bravely held on to pure love when the extremely cold world loudly told you to be completely selfish, and for that quiet endurance, you will be highly rewarded.